Hey, Scott, Georgina,
Hey,
how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ran.
Me too.
So, Scott, thanks for jumping on and filling the boots of the parental to be figure Bill with a baby on the way, getting the house underway and his busy schedule that is about to get busier any day now. Scott is a huge Wrexham fan. He is a Wrexham local. He's been following the team for years, and he is also a wealth of knowledge. And as humble as Scott may be about it, you are the wealth of knowledge compared to me. Thank you, Scott, for coming on.
No,
Yes, cue the round of applause.
it's a pleasure, Ran.
So,
I enjoy watching your pods. So
thank you. Well, we are going to be covering Morecambe today, and for anybody that is of a certain pedigree, the first time I saw it spelled, I didn't know how to say it. So I was glad that somebody did say that it was Morecambe, and then immediately Robin Williams pops into mind, and all I could think of is that it's not Morecambe FC, it's Morecambe Windy FC.
oh,
And there will probably be a good number of people that will not get that reference or know it at all.
it took me a while.
But Nanu.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
Scott,
great.
who is Morecambe?
Morecambe's it's a smallish town in the northwest. Just geography-wise, from Wrexham you go past Liverpool, past Blackpool, then past Fleetwood, then Morecambe's kind of the next one on the coast. It's a kind of a seaside town. So if you're up Cumbria way, you might pop down there for some fish and chips. So there's plenty of decent fish there, and obviously from Morecambe themselves, known as the Shrimpers. That's where that comes from. So it's an old club, 1920. It was formed. I obviously looked that up, and they play at a relatively modest stadium called I don't even know where it is, but the Mazuma Mobile Stadium that they're at now, which I think's kind of a newish stadium that they've had built with about 6,500, I think, is the capacity thereabouts anyway. And I think they can accommodate about 1,500 away fans. Trying to think now, they're pretty successful, really. They spent most of the time in the non-league. They were promoted, I think, it was around about when we were kind of going down. So like 2007, they won the playoffs to get promoted into the League Two, as it is now.
Ooh.
And they've won a couple of trophies, the FA Trophy, which obviously we won as well. And then they won a Satanta Shield, or it was
What
called,
is that?
I'm not sure. It was kind of a cup for, I believe, non-league sides, a bit similar to the FA Trophy in a way. But
Okay.
it's no longer around. So I think so they win that. It's quite a while ago, 1997. I've got written down here, and they won the FA Trophy in 1973. So that was obviously a pretty big thing for them. And
Yeah.
their rivals would be Fleetwood, and
Okay.
well, they're a team that they would play more frequently. Who's the other one? Anyone close there? There's so many clubs around them. There's Preston, Burnley, Blackpool, Fleetwood, Fylde, whatever they're called. And but obviously they wouldn't play Blackpool so often. But Fleetwood, Atkinson Stanley is apparently one of their big rivals as well, which there's a bit of a link in from last weekend. So other than that, I'm thinking now, I don't know, they no longer have a manager. They did. So
yeah.
So I looked him up, and turned out to be a waste of time, as I found out he left pretty much this week sometime. So I think
He went to another team?
yeah, I think he's gone up to Ross County, which is Scottish, playing the Scottish leagues. I believe he's from there. He previously managed there as well, so I think it's more of perhaps a home, going home. I think it was more a personal thing for him, perhaps. So he's going to be replaced by the current assistant manager and first team coach. So I don't really know much about apart from their names, John McMahon and Jed Brannan. So
Okay.
So it's similar vibes to the last home game we had, I think, with Gillingham but they had a new manager straight in, whereas I don't believe they'll have a new manager in time, because these things generally take longer than a week, I suppose, which they have.
Yeah. But is this another instance where whoever is filling in right now would be considered a caretaker manager?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's spot on. So whilst they lost somebody else. For someone exactly like me, who is me, what is a caretaker manager? What entails that? It's somebody who's looking after the ship whilst they try and find a captain, essentially. So they typically, it's normally the coach of that team. Is that the right word? We've got slightly different ways of talking about managers and coaches here. So we'd have a manager who kind of oversees the whole football team, everything, and then the coach would coach the players specifically regarding, I suppose, tactics and how to kick a ball and stuff like that. So the assistant, the guy who's replacing them was actually the assistant manager, and they had another coach. It's all very complicated. I don't really understand. I think it's more kind of jobs for the boys, to be honest. So you have your team in the same way Phil Parkinson has quite a number of people who he works with, and they go around with him. So they come as a package usually. So I feel a bit sorry for their assistant manager, because if another manager comes in, they'd have to be agreeable to him still being assistant manager. Or they might want to bring their own one in, which inevitably happens.
Okay. So that is something that typically a manager is going to bring, like, his or her team in, and so once a manager goes somewhere else or is let go, everybody else is just on pins and needles, because at any point in time they could be out of a job, and more often than not they're going to be out of a job and need to find a new place. So with that being said, their manager leaving, he didn't take any of the people with him.
No,
from
it's
Morecambe?
odd, isn't it? No, he didn't. It's a bit strange, I suppose, but that's what made me think perhaps he just wanted to go home. Perhaps that's where he's from. So and the other guys inevitably probably don't come from where he comes from, because he would have met them through playing football, I imagine. That's how these guys work. I know Mark Hughes was the same. Wherever he went, he would take, is it Mark Bowen and Eddie Niedzweski would always follow him around to each club. So that's, you employ Mark Hughes, you employ another two people as well. I'm guessing there'll be others. So,
and I guess unless he went to Scotland and then some people would go, well, because it would be considerably far depending on where you live at, where your family is, if you have kids and they're in school, and then you have your extended family, your parents, siblings, and etc. For some people, going home is going to be preferable, but for other people, that just might be impossible. And so it could be that he offered, hey, I'm going up here if you would like to go. And then everybody else, that's, 5-6 hours away from my family. Not going to be able to do that.
I'm not sure it's commutable. But
I
think Phil Parkinson said it, didn't he? When it may have been on the documentary, he mentioned that he's moved to Wrexham this time, and he points out that was quite unusual. He would normally not move, but they relocated. Wow. I suppose his son's old, and obviously his son works for him as well in some capacity. So I suppose it's easier to move then. Yeah,
it would be like Neil Williams from the commentary team, who, when he lived in Cornwall, he would drive up regularly to Wrexham games. And so, 4 hours there and 4 hours back. And so he'd leave bright early in the morning and, get back at the, midnight or so. So, I mean, it can be done, but whew.
Nah, not perhaps once a week, but obviously, I wouldn't fancy doing it every day, or 3 days. I'm not sure what they do in football terms. They don't do a full week, though, that's for sure.
Like at least 3 days of practice, at least. So, you're not making that drive, because then you're spending all your time on the road, and that's not a life. At that point in time, you pay me enough to have me move, or pay me enough for the private jet to fly me, and take 25 minutes to get there, whatever it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what private jet times are from a location to another. I'll brush up on.
When we played the last game of our last game in the National League, joke on Twitter, there was always a little advert that came up about did you realise how affordable it is to hire a private jet? Yeah. So one of the lads thought, I'll have a look at this, and sort of went through the whole process of registering to this website, and then to fly from Liverpool to Torquay, which I think was literally like 30-minute flight, and it could hold 12 people. It was 60-odd thousand pounds.
Wow.
It did have Wi-Fi though, apparently.
Well, then in that case, I'm in. I mean, up until that point, I was just going to throw 60,000 pounds at the wall. But now that it has Wi-Fi, I'll do that. Well, according to my bank account, I'll be doing that never, and never 2 lives over. So hats off to them.
It was unbelievable. Well, it was return as well.
oh, that's both ways. Okay. Well, yeah. Then I can afford it. Of course I can. A little bit about the area, also geographically, of Morecambe. I was looking at it, and right across that, I don't know if it would be considered a bay, but right across the bay is Barrow, Barrow Inverness. And so I was thinking that they would have some type of rivalry, or because they both are regionally close to each other, but I guess there's so many other teams that are closer to Morecambe that they have Accrington Stanley, and of course 5-10 teams within closer distance than Barrow.
Yeah, I think with the history, I suppose they would have played that. I was assuming they played each other because Barrow have obviously been non-league as well, and nobody really likes Barrow, so I'm guessing there would be there must be a rivalry because it's the sort of same area of England as well. So as you said, they're pretty close.
Yeah, coastal, and both have that sea and seafaring type of themes. Not only on their crest and badge, but within their coat of arms for their towns too. And they so they're the Shrimpers. And I looked up the crest and badge, and if you want to, have you pulled that up, or I assume you know what it looks like, or?
I've seen it. Yeah, I have seen it. It's a shield type badge, isn't it? The shield shape.
Yeah, it's a shield, and then let me.
I know it's got a shrimp on it, and a couple of flowers, which I would assume are roses.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, so that's exactly it. Okay. So yeah, the badge, the crest, is in the shape of a shield, has Morecambe FC over the top, red and white from their colors, the team colors and the kit colors, and then it has the 2 roses that are about 45-degree angles tilted inwards, and those represent the Lancashire rose, or no, I'm sorry, the Yorkshire rose, and it's
it will be the Lancashire one, won't it?
I could be wrong on the website that I looked at, but
there's a famous they said it's thing about there's the War of the Roses.
Yeah, there's that rose, and I don't know if they have 2 because of Yorkshire, but there's a nod to also the Yorkshire rose because there's a lot of people who live in the area of Morecambe who are originally from Yorkshire. And so if that is not correct, somebody from Morecambe, let me know. If the random website that I read that said that is incorrect, let me know. So I believe the 2 roses, one Lancashire and the other one Yorkshire, and that's the representation. And then, of course, the shrimp on there as the Shrimpers. And you probably know what this is, but I didn't know what it is. It's not on the shield or the badge, but something when I was looking up what do they fish and what do they get around there, something called a cockle. Is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's...
Okay.
that hit the news. Oh, I can't remember now how long ago. Over 10 years ago, easy. Where there was a bit of a tragedy where a lot of people got stuck because you collect the cockles from the sand, and the tide obviously caught them up. And there were, I don't know how many. There was a lot of people died.
Yeah, I think it was like 20 something, and I think they were Chinese fishermen who were
That's right, yeah.
out there and then got caught. They said it becomes like quicksand when the tide moves fairly quickly in and out. And they said as opposed to somewhere like Blackpool or something, that this tide moves quickly and it makes the sand like quicksand, so you can easily get caught out. And the thing that I didn't know is what is a cockle?
But it's a shellfish. So
okay.
Cockles and winkles. Cockneys are kind of love their cockles, I think. But yeah, they're a small little shellfish. I don't know, so big, I suppose.
Okay.
Kind of conical shaped. They're quite nice in vinegar. So
okay. So it's a shell, a mussel in a shell. Okay. And so obviously, if they're going into the sand, these are things you have to dig out of the ground and then.
Yeah, I believe so. So it's quite tough work, and obviously they were Chinese immigrants, but it's quite a scandal with, they were probably collecting cockles just to make pennies, I'd imagine. I think there was probably a bit of a criminal ring associated around using people to make money. I'm not sure on that though, 100%, but
yeah,
it was talked about at the time.
And it wouldn't be unheard of. It's not like at any point in time, no matter where the area is, if you're using, immigrant labor, there's usually less care for safety and less awareness of, people regulation or protection for those type of workers. For somebody to say, hey, we're actually watching the tide and people need to be clear by this time and et cetera. There's usually more stuff in place for, when it's somewhere that might have a union or a lobby or some type of workers association. Yeah. Well, I mean,
there are families that do that kind of work that have been doing it for generations. So that, you go to the wise old man who knows when it's going to rain or it's windy, and he'll know the tides and the sandbanks like the back of his hand, I suppose. But whereas these people were just chucked out there.
Yeah, and they grew up knowing, what to look for when things change. I've never done work like that at the sea, but I imagine you can tell by the change of if there's wildlife, that birds that enter the area or leave the area, that we're walking on the beach and now they're all leaving. You're like, oh, okay, well, the tide's coming in, but it'd be things that you aren't aware of as a newcomer or lack of better words, foreigner to that particular land and area.
Yeah.
You said wise man. There was something about Morecambe and Wise. Is it a comedy duo or so?
Yeah, they were a comedy duo in the started in the 70s, I think. It would be when we only had two channels, BBC and ITV, and can't think what the comparable one would be in the US. Or
they said something like Laurel and Hardy, maybe.
Yeah, but they were more films, weren't they, I suppose? I'm trying to think, people who do sketches, really. So it'd be almost it'd be in front of a live audience, and they do singing and dancing and comedy routines. Albert Costello, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, Abbott and Costello. Okay.
Yeah, but that was Morecambe and Wise. We had a few. Morecambe and Wise were on ITV, and the two Ronnies, I think, were on BBC.
So the two Ronnies. Okay.
Yeah, it was a Saturday night family show, really. So they'd have a special guest on, and they'd take the mickey out of them. So I can't remember his name. There's a famous composer. I can't say his name. Previn or someone from back in the day. So he's a classical pianist, and they just sit by him and sit on the piano whilst he was trying to play some classical music. It's more sort of slapstick, a bit daft.
Yeah, as you do when someone's playing classical piano. Yeah, you sit on their piano and distract them. Yeah, that's exactly What that would be all I could bring to the table. They're like, we're doing a performance. So I guess a little bit of a variety show where you have different things going on.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, which I don't know about the UK, but I don't think we have any variety shows on TV over here.
That seems shocking. Although we don't have them now either. So
yeah, okay. So
it's all reality TV, I suppose now.
It is
for what we call terrestrial TV.
Yeah. It's all scripted reality. No, sorry to give up that that mystique. Yeah. No. It's completely real for everybody that loves it. It's completely real. No, there's no paid actors on there at all. So Morecambe. It is an interesting pronunciation for the spelling for me of just not being familiar with a word that is spelled that way and pronounced that way. Is it something that is different for English speaking audience in the UK, or for you is it just absolutely normal?
I've always pronounced it like that. I've never had the need to write it down. It probably goes to the fact because we haven't played them much. I think it's 3 times I think we've played them, which is
is that it?
Yeah, according to Pete Jones's book, and a little bit on the internet. So I think I got it written down actually because I was trying to find things.
Okay,
we played them in the LDV van.
And what is that?
What's it called now? It's the League Cup thing for the lower. What's the one that Sean Harvey had a hand in creating, where we've got the under 21s from Newcastle. I forgot what the competition's called.
Yeah. The one that everybody was or still is. There's a portion of people that are still protesting and not going to the match. Yeah.
But that used to be sponsored by LDV, which they used to make vans. And when we played them, it was the year before we won it, but we beat them 4-1 when Lee Jones scored a hat-trick and Hector Sam scored a penalty.
All right.
So that was our first meeting, and we won that one. And then we played them in the league once. We've only been in the same league once. So we obviously played them twice in that season. And we beat them and drew to them. So we beat them 2-1, and then it was 2-2 at their place. And that season was the season we got relegated to the non-league.
Ooh, okay.
And then we had a young midfielder who's quite good, came up through the academy, and he was one of the lucky ones in that he got bought by a league team. He was Andy Fleming, which people might remember, but he only ever had 2 clubs, and that was us and Morecambe. He finished his career at Morecambe. I think he's there 10 years, so he did all right, really. I couldn't find any ex-Wrexham players who've played for them as such, except for one notable one in that Paul Mullins place.
Who could that be? Who was that?
Yeah, no idea. I don't know where he ended up.
Yeah, and the name probably nobody sings songs about him. Just under the radar. Quiet. Yeah.
Strange name. I don't know how you could crowbar it into a song, really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of there was another one that I saw that was a bit notable, and that was David Artell, who played for us briefly, and now he's become a kind of wanted man as a manager. So I think he'll get linked with this job. He gets linked with all the jobs at the moment.
Yeah, each one of the ones like Gillingham and everybody, his name just pops up again and again. Yeah.
As well. I think there was one in Scotland he was put up for. But Southend didn't like this one. Yeah, so it should be quite good. But they have had. I looked at all their players trying to find, if they had any notable players that played for England and whatnot, and they did have quite a few, and there's a couple that surprised me. But Alan Ball, you may not know, but he was back in the 60s, played for England. I think he won the World Cup. I think he played for Everton, maybe. Then Les Ferdinand, Graham Souness, and Brian Clough, who was a great player, played and managed Notts Forest and Derby and all sorts. But his son, Nigel Clough, is now the manager of Mansfield. So
doing fantabulous.
Yeah. we could always link it back to Wrexham some way.
It's the only thing I'm here for is, the 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon, except for the 6 degrees separation of Wrexham. For any of the other teams out there, including Morecambe, I apologize, but I also don't, because, your heart is where your heart is. So I do want to know about these other teams, but I also want to know how it relates to Wrexham. And now you spoke about this one player that people might know that played for Morecambe. Who was that player?
It's Paul Mullins played for them briefly.
Oh, that guy.
I don't know how he got on there. He's actually had quite a few clubs. I was quite surprised. I didn't make a note of them, but he's obviously Liverpool, Everton as a youth. And then, like a lot of players, they'll start off at the big clubs, and then it seems harsh saying, but they get rejected, and then obviously go lower down in the leagues, and that's pretty much how Morecambe sort of recruit, it seems. But like ourselves, we do the same. Well, not recently. We've been buying from higher leagues players who are actually not rejected. But so that seems to be the way Morecambe sort of recruit, and they've got a youth academy as well, and a women's team who we obviously don't play, but because they're in the English league. It's a decent club, to be fair, Morecambe.
Yeah, and I believe Paul Mullins' first ever league goal was scored for Morecambe.
Oh, was it?
And I believe, I think it was 2014 or 2015, and that was his first league goal. So I don't know how much fondness he still has, but that's where his league scoring started. And of course, now he's the scoring machine that he is. Yeah. So
well, it'd be handy for him.
You just need one.
It's not too far for not too far for him to travel as well, so he probably did quite like it there.
Because where he's from is on the northern side of the northern area of Liverpool.
I think so, yeah.
Where he's from, so that would have been in the direction that he would have traveled, which you wouldn't have had to hit rush hour traffic or anything like that, because you're on the opposite side of the city. So that would have probably been like a fairly nice drive if you had to, visit family and then go out.
I'd say it's about an hour or so, maybe.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Over here in Phoenix, you literally can go from one side of the western city limits to the eastern city limits, and on any given day, depending on traffic, it could take you an hour to 2 hours to get across.
That's nuts.
And so, but they're generous with their city limits. It's you're talking traveling something like 30 miles across on a city, which that's just from the vastness of the Western United States. They get very generous of what they call city limits and how far that goes out. And then, of course, if you zoom in, then you have each little area has its own name, but it's considered, within the city limits. But
we kind of do that in Wrexham. So, like we will claim someone like Neco Williams from Kevin Maurer. So that's near enough. He's from Wrexham.
Yeah, which I was saying, when he scored, I was saying, one of our own, and it's like, oh yeah, but he's from Kevin, and but it's it's right there. The women's team play there, so there's a foothold of Wrexham.
But it's funny because those surrounding villages, I suppose, a lot of those people would support Wrexham anyway. So I don't think Neco Williams would mind us claiming him.
Is that a thing where traditionally they would have claimed Wrexham, or this is like post takeover?
I think more people are supporting Wrexham as their first team and actively supporting them. Whereas before, people would support them from their armchair, maybe, but they wouldn't go to the match. If that makes sense.
So so there might be people from Wrexham too that weren't supporting before and now are, and then but as you get further and further out, it's more of a drive, and more of a trek to get there. So if a team isn't doing well, and you're like, well, am I going to, drive or take public transport, 30 minutes by public transport or whatever it is to go watch a team lose, or will I just listen on the radio?
Yeah.
Which
they'll watch.
Which one?
I think the worst thing that kind of did impact us was they weren't listening to it on the radio either. So they'd be watching Sky Sports and some other teams from
some other match. Yeah, the Premier League or
all of that.
Yeah. Well, times have changed. I did look up, speaking of present times and past times, the name Morecambe stood out to me, and I am an amateur linguist. I'm familiar with a few languages, Spanish, German, and English, and I have a working knowledge of some other languages, but Morecambe stood out to me because the pronunciation versus the spelling, and it not being like other typical Old English or Anglo-Saxon words and names of cities or towns in the UK. And so I initially looked at it and I was thinking, well, that looks like to be of more of an Italian, a Romantic language spelling. And so before I heard it was Morecambe, in my head, I thought it was like Morecambe. And that's what I was thinking. So I did look up the name, and it actually is a Roman name.
Correct.
So it's derived from the Roman name Morecambe Cabris, meaning curved bay or salt flats. And so it actually does come from Roman times, which is very interesting that some Roman names still stick around, where you have Romans haven't been there since what was it, like the 400 AD or something like that?
Yeah, before,
or Common Era?
Before the Dark Ages.
Yeah. It's like a very long time ago, but the name stuck. And so you have a Roman-based name, which has changed, and obviously the pronunciation of it has tremendously changed, where now it's Morecambe, and that, if you were spelling phonetically versus the Latin-based names, Latin-based would be spelled exactly the way that it is spelled. It would be spelled because of the pronunciation, but then in English, it's obviously pronounced differently. That's something that you did not know, that it was an old Roman name?
I didn't know that. Obviously, there are a few places, but it does make sense as well with the lie of their land and what they do. So no, it's pretty interesting actually. Because in my head, before I'd started looking up stuff, I don't know why. If you'd asked me to write it down, I wouldn't have spelt it like that. I would have spelt it wrong. I would have spelt it Morecombe, because this place.
Okay,
this place is called that would end in Coombes, which is Combes. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Not sure if we've. I was trying to think of a team that might end with that, but I can't think of one.
Okay. And that might be a French formation of a word, possibly. I don't know, from the pronunciation versus the spelling.
Yeah, it's weird. I have actually been there once. I should have got the photo. We went to it's like a caravan holiday in a caravan park up that way with the kids, and we went to Morecambe, walked up and down the promenade, and there's an old vintage car. They had a vintage car thing going on there, so all these pretty cool cars. They also had the DeLorean from Back to the Future. So
yes.
That's the first time I've ever had a selfie, and it was with a car.
Wait, you have to find that picture so that we can insert it right
I'll
here.
I'll try and find it. It'll be down there years ago now. I'll be able to work it out, and then I'll send it on to you.
I'm guessing that it probably had to have been October 25th, 1985.
Yeah,
is that the date from? Somebody put it in the comment section. What was the date that it was programmed to? I don't know if it's October 5th, 1985.
I can't see.
And then because it was 88 miles per hour that it had to reach to go in time, and then I believe which I don't know if it. I could be speaking of non-truths, but either that scene where they're in the mall parking lot was shot out here in Phoenix, or it was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures mall scene was filmed out here. One of those two were filmed out here. I would hope that it was Back to the Future, because in my opinion, that's a lot cooler of a movie. I still like Bill and Ted's, but it's kind of a ripoff of Doctor Who. We don't need to go, with the telephone booth, and you're like, okay, this has been done before. But let's not divert too much from Morecambe talk. And you love film, I love film. We could be there all day. But so looking at the league of currently, looking at the league, they're sitting in ninth on the table. They're coming off of 2 losses, and they have 8 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. As far as a goal difference, they have a goal difference of 5. That's a positive 5. And so they've scored 25 and conceded 20. In comparison to us, who are currently sitting in 4th, and we just took that devastating loss to Accrington Stanley. And so we maybe have something to prove and a little chip on our shoulder coming into this weekend. How do you feel about the matchup in Morecambe?
I think everyone's quite difficult to call in a way, even though we've been doing pretty well in reality. But I think like Morecambe and 9th, Accrington Stanley were 8th when we played them. We had a bit of a...
now they're 7th.
But we had an unbeaten run, didn't we, of 12 games when we played Accrington, and then we lost that one. Now we've got an unbeaten run of 3 games against Morecambe. So there's all these taboos, and they haven't got a manager. So it's got a loss written all over it.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think we do all right, to be honest. I think I looked at a few of the players. They've obviously got some good players that definitely know mugs. I think they did quite well last season from memory. I think they just missed out on the playoffs. Yeah. So, any team that's around there is going to be losable too. So, but I'm obviously good. I think we will win. I think they got something to prove. I think that the whole Accrington debacle really from before it even kicked off, that it was just an odd kind of feeling to the game with all the Twitter wars between the owners. Yeah,
and it was something that we don't need to give their chairman, any more free press than he deserves. No. But yeah, it was an odd position, an odd back and forth, an odd engagement. If anybody follows Bill Long on Twitter, he was going back and forth with Bill. So the chairman was taking his time to just go ahead and comment on pretty much every comment that was commented onto his post. And it's like, okay, well, I guess if you have that much free time, then
he does that all the time. If you trolled all the way through all his Twitters and stuff, there's always something, and he comes across as a bit annoying. Somebody replied to me saying he's as bad as Mike Harris, the chairman of TNA. He always used to get into Twitter spouts with people, just going on and on.
It's so odd because isn't he in rumors of, and I guess we can squash the Accrington talk after this, but there's rumors of him selling the club.
There was, yeah. I think
and so it's very odd.
Yeah, he's a bit, he's holding on to it till the right person comes along. But from my experience, it doesn't really happen. I mean, we're the exception to the rule, I think, with regards to that. So. Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people that get into purchasing a team and owning a club tend to be more dollar and cents motivated over community motivated. And of course, you have to be profitable to be sustainable. But I think that Rob and Ryan have unlocked something that other people hadn't really taken seriously before. And if you invest into the community, you are creating a loyalty, you are creating an engagement that is hard to waver. Even in defeat, even in losses, it's hard to waver that type of investment because it will pay dividends. And I put it akin to where if you looked at movies from the 80s, even 90s, going up into the 2000s, up until that point, you always had one particular type of lead for a movie, and everybody else played a specific role. And if anybody wants to be like, oh, he's woke or whatever, it's just brass sense. There was always in Western television for U.S. movies and in Hollywood, there was always a white man over 30 was the lead, and he would date the 18-year-old co-star or whatever, and it was always one type of person. And the argument used to be in film is that, well, the people that come out to go watch movies come out to watch that type of movie. And then it was never challenged too much that it's like, well, you have to make a movie for the people that come out to watch the movies, and people come out to watch that type of character play that type of role. Well, it's not until new movies started to come about, and then you see things break barriers like Wonder Woman and break box office records, and you go, oh, wait, you mean a female lead can go? And I think that there's a similarity to that type of old school thought of, well, the data doesn't support anything else except for what we've been doing forever. Well, it only supports that because you haven't done anything else. Yeah. And so with ownership, people traditionally are like, you have to own a club and operate it and run a football club in a certain way. And I think that the barriers that are being broken by Rob and Ryan are showing you can focus on the community, you can focus on the people, and it's actually even more profitable. And not just from a financial sense, but it's more profitable as an investment into the town, into the community, that you are actually building bigger bonds and stronger bonds that are harder to break. And hopefully whoever, comes into Accrington Stanley or any of the other clubs that are hurting or need new ownership, hopefully the people that are coming in notice what Rob and Ryan have done and don't forget the community and remember that it's vital and it's a big part.
Yeah, I think that.
And I'll step off my soapbox.
I think that was reflected. I think Stockport as well. They've obviously been taken over by the local. Well, he's a Stockport fan, I believe, but he's had that kind of ethos as well, where he's brought everyone with him. And he's got. He obviously can't do a documentary. I mean, we're pretty lucky in that respect. But I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure about Notts County, but I think that's more money, not so much. Although they do community stuff with Notts as well. But all three of us have been clubs that have been in the mire previously before being taken over by people who probably think differently. To allude to what you were saying, and they're doing it slightly differently. And it's working. Yeah,
and it is a little different when you have real estate investors coming in, because they have a pedigree and a knowledge of operating business in a certain way that's disconnected from the community and more towards what the bottom line would be to purchase something and then sell it for more. To buy it at a lower price, develop it, and then sell it at a higher price, which is completely different than the people story. Yeah. And the human-centered interests. I will try to do a transition, but speaking of human-centered interests, we should have some players back, James McLean, Jacob Mendy back for this match. What are you thinking lineup-wise we might see from Wrexham?
I'll start with the easy one. There'll be no change for the goalkeeper. Being there, unless he's playing FIFA on Twitch with Jordan Davis. But Tunnicliffe's out again, isn't he? I think he's had something not a relapse, but he won't be coming in. I think I saw that maybe from Rob Ryan Red on the on Twitter tweets.
Okay.
So is O'Connell fit? I'm not sure. I think in the defence.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Because Boyle came in, didn't he, for Accrington? Actually, the defence is quite tough, certain aspects. I think Tozer will play. It's whether Evans is in midfield or he will put him into defence. But I prefer him in midfield, to be honest. And then you've got O'Connor.
He's looked great in midfield. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I didn't hear O'Connor was injured. Tom O'Connor, that is.
Was he? Yeah. Was he?
I'm not sure. But if he is, that's a bit of a problem. So when did Mendy play? I suppose playing Saturday, flying back from Africa, he should be okay, shouldn't he? If he came straight back,
I would think so.
So I think Mendy would get a game. But then you got McLean as well. Ooh, it's really tough. You know what? I'm struggling. Even with the forward line, obviously Mullins will be thrown in to score against his former club, and Palmer's been good. You got to play Ollie Palmer. So it's just them two again, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Going to work from that way. It wasn't as easy going from goalkeeper. The defence has stumped me.
Well, and you've got Hayden in the mix still. So
Hayden. Yeah.
So you could have...
I'd have Hayden in all the time.
Yeah. Hayden, Tozer, they've been looking good.
It's just that other side with Mendy and McLean. It's McLean, isn't it?
Yeah. There's an interview and his dad says McLean.
All right.
But everybody else I've heard say McLean, but it is also the thing. It's quite a British thing to do, to not pronounce people's names the way they're actually pronounced, and then to just pronounce it how they do. Yeah. And they're like, no, this is the right way because we invented the language. So, but so I did see one interview where his father is talking, and it sounds like he says McLean.
I think he probably does. I lived in Ireland for a bit, and that's what they would say. And also Die Hard as well. It's McLean, isn't it?
Okay.
Is it spelled the same?
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think so. Yeah. Both J's.
Yeah.
John, I would love to see James McLean battling at what is it, Nagatomi Tower?
Oh yeah.
Is that the
Christmas movie? The
name of it? Yeah. Always a Christmas movie. But yeah, so McLean, I believe John McClane in the movie is McClane.
Yeah.
I think it is. But
I think you're right.
But obviously for Hollywood, they're going to spell it, how it looks. They wouldn't get too cute with it. But yeah, hopefully he's back and ready to go. He had his farewell game with Ireland, and all the tears that ensued from him saying goodbye. They paid him a good tribute. Yeah. That was a lot of massive respect.
I saw that.
For
that
him.
Was nice.
Yeah, and so Mendy coming back. Mendy actually got minutes out there in the game. That's amazing. And I saw some Gambian. Yeah. There was some Gambian fans on Twitter that were saying, "Hey, there's a battle over on the left now because Mendy's making, asking questions and making himself seen." And so that's good that they gave him a shot, and he looked good out there. But he also has looked good playing that versatility role, that utility role of going to the right-hand side, and Parkey and whoever else, including himself, who have come up with that good game plan of being able to take it down on that right-hand side, cut back in, draw defenders towards you, and either dish back out to the right wing or to cross it with his left foot, into the box, he's been doing phenomenal crosses. He's been looking outstanding, and he looked outstanding from the left. He looked outstanding from the right. His crosses have been on point. He's playing for a position. He wants to start. He's like, don't forget about me. Put me in the match. And then of course go ahead.
No, I think he's done really well. I think he had a mistake in him every now and then, but he always seems to bounce back from it. So he's a great player.
Yeah.
He'll only get better as well.
Well, if we looked at every player during a game, every player makes a mistake or two or three. It's if that mistake costs you a goal, against, or if it ruined an opportunity that could have been a goal scoring opportunity, those kind of highlight it a little bit more. And he, I guess for better or for worse, Mindy has a reputation of making a big error, like one big error per game. But if we put the microscope down, which I'm not going to do, I'm not going to look at any players and look for what they do wrong. But if we just watched one player the whole game and wrote down all the mistakes that you made, you can complain about anybody. The fact of the matter is that Mindy's been playing out of his mind. All of the rest of the players have been playing extremely well, minus whatever vacation holiday they took at Accrington, minus that episode. They've all been playing phenomenally. So hopefully we can put that all together. And those minor mistakes, in League Two, we're seeing a mistake can cost you because the skill level has gone up. And where before you could make a mistake and the other team may not have been as clinical to be able to put that goal away and make you pay for that one mistake. Now it's, the risk versus reward has gone up. And if you do make a mistake, there are very clinical strikers and players within League Two who will make you pay dearly for your mistake. Yeah. But to that, we've been making less mistakes. So
I think it's coming good.
What do you?
No,
what was that?
I think they're coming good, but they're just getting into it, aren't they? Really, I think so. We're over 10 games in now, so 12 games unbeaten's quite a hard thing to do in this league.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose, and that game was just seems a bit odd. I don't think anyone was up for it. So it's just one of them things. I think they'll get back straight into it. The midfield that we have is too good to not do well in games. I think James Jones, obviously, I always think he's probably the first person on the team sheet in a way, because he holds it all together in that midfield and does so much covering for people. It's unbelievable if you watch him. He's all over the place. So with him, Elliot Lee, hopefully Gorgeous George, as they're calling him now. So hopefully they'll be in there. I think that's the midfield. I don't know who would make way for Jordan Davis. That's quite a tough one. Jordan Davis has played left back. He started off as a left back, so anywhere on the left side, but we've got abundance of riches on the left hand side with Mendy, now James McLean and the like. And sadly on the right, I suppose Barnett's not going to be back for quite a while. Anthony Ford, he's a good deliverer of the ball and he's solid as well. Defensively, he's a bit more savvy, I suppose. Barnett is your out and out winger. So when you go through all the injured players in your head, it seems like a disaster. But when you sort of take a moment to sit back and go, oh, actually, we've got some quite good players. The strength in depth is insane at the moment. So So defence, I go for Ford, Hayden, Tozer, I've forgotten now. We go Mendy, McLean on the left, and then the trio in midfield, and then the duet up front, I suppose, of Mullins and Palmer. I think we're going to do all right.
Yeah, and poor Fletcher's out.
Yeah.
Well, would you be so bold to give a prediction?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a clean sheet. I'm going to go with...
Oh, yes, okay.
I'm just going to go for it and say 3-0. Elliot Lee will get back on the score sheet. I'm going to go for different ones. I think James Jones. I'm going for the fat ball meal, whatever it is that they give away if you get the last goal scorer.
Oh, wait, they do that?
I think he does a thing, doesn't he, on Twitter? He always says, we're playing whoever, usual competition, I think he just says. And then you write down the player, and the minute you think the last goal will be scored. I've never won.
Oh, wow.
But quite fancy Palmer to get a goal if he plays. So, yeah.
He should play, right?
3-0, easy.
Yeah. Put me down for... Elliot Lee makes it 3.
Okay.
And then keep it on the threes. The 83rd.
Yeah.
We'll say the Elliot Lee makes it 3 in 83.
That sounds good.
The third wouldn't have rhymed, so I had to let it go.
With a 88 mile an hour thunderbolt.
Yeah. Something gigawatts or yeah. With the flux capacitor. Exactly. I hope we get that photo that we can place in with the DeLorean. Which the DeLorean was produced in Ireland, wasn't it? Wasn't it manufactured or it came from?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
From Ireland?
I think didn't it go bust as well quite shortly afterwards?
Yeah. Yes, it did.
It went down like Lakers Airlines.
Yeah. Well, does Georgina have a prediction that she wants to give?
What's your prediction for Wrexham v Morecambe?
Hi, I am Georgina, and this is my prediction for Saturday's match. I think that Wrexham will win 6.
Yes.
And I think the other team will have 1.
Ooh. Yes. Well, you heard it here first.
Sounds good.
Straight from Georgina's mouth. 6 goals to 1. And was that your sister who was waving in the background there?
Yes.
Does she want to say hi and give a prediction too?
What? Come here. She wants to talk to you.
It's only YouTube. It's only YouTube. Don't worry.
What's it still going to be?
Oh, and who are you?
Sophia.
She's 11 going on 13.
Do you want to give a... Wait, say it again, Georgina?
She doesn't know how to speak properly. Yeah, but I do know how to speak.
Oh, jeez. You have got to love siblings.
Yes.
So siblings doing what siblings do, as they have done for years and will continue to do on for eons past. But so we have a 6-1 prediction, which is completely realistic. I say that will happen. I'm going to back you. I'm going to change whatever I said before. I'll still keep Elliot Lee makes it 3. But then I'm going to say, 3 more goals after that. It will definitely be 6-1. I believe in you in the way that you believe in Wrexham.
Yeah.
Well, with that, thank you all for spending your day teaching us how to Wrexham.
Okay.
And Scott, I am in the British pronunciation of your last name. I'm going to change it to possibly the Latin. And thank you, Scott Moreton.
That's how it
is what
gets announced on the final departures announcements at airports.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully Saturday we do get that win. I hope it is that 6-1 and up the town.
Up the town.
Me too.
I see the school uniform fresh out of another fun day of school. I can imagine you just wouldn't rather be anywhere else but at school every day. But you are a Wrexham fan as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I heard you have a favorite player. Who's that?
It's Rosie Hughes.
Oh, yes, of course. It has to be Rosie Hughes. What is it about watching the games or watching Rosie Hughes that has made you a fan?
It's like they're really good at playing, and because my dad's a fan, I'm a fan too. And my dad's taken me to a couple games, and I've been able to watch them. It's really interesting and fun.
Nice. And I heard that you went to Llandudno.
Oh, yeah.
Or watched the game.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. It was a good match.
Where do you normally like to sit? Do you like to be right at the stands, or do you stay in your seat? Do you go up to the rail, to the edge, or what do you do normally?
I think I just like to stay in my seat.
Yeah. You know where your seat is at. You can watch it from comfort. You don't have to be one of those side coaches or managers that is telling the players where they should be from the rails.
Yeah.
Have you got your photo or got any signatures from any of the players yet?
No. Not yet.
Okay, so any of the players that happen to watch this, look out for the young Georgina in the stands. Take the photos, give her the signature, give her the autograph. You will notice her from this point on, and if you don't, you've got something to pay for, sir, ma'am. Well, thanks for sharing some of that information with us. I know you might have some supper or something that you have to go and get to, but thanks. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.